It's time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits. Whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts, this is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. I know I sure did. It was pretty great weather, cooled down on Sunday night. And then, of course, we got a ton of rain on Monday and jumped right into that on the road Monday, driving for a FedEx, driving package delivery. And man, when it rains, it's tough out there. I don't need any kind of metal or anything. I actually, I'll leave it at that. There was a mistake made at work that kind of bummed me out, but hey, that's life. The world keeps spinning. We compensate, we adjust, we keep spinning, we keep going, I should say. And away we go. We try to come back and do it better. Some big news from over the weekend. First off, there's two things I really, really enjoy not watching on purpose. Number one is soccer and USA and Mexico 0-0. What a game. I'm 0-0. Are you kidding me? I'm going to stop right there with all that. But the other thing I take pride in not watching is the Oscars. Now, my mom used to love the Oscars. It was the one night a week of the year, where she told my dad and us as we were kids, I don't want to be bothered. I'm going in the room and shut the door. If you guys need anything, figure it out. She was wonderful, but she loved watching the celebrities and everybody get all dressed up and the millionaires. And I haven't watched it in years, but how could you not know about the big slap that occurred on stage Sunday night between Will Smith and Chris Rock? I have thoughts. Initially, I thought, like a lot of people, this is staged. What are they doing? They're trying to get an audience. They're trying to get viewers back, right? Because Oscars viewership has been so bad. But you watch more of it, you see more of it, you're like, no, this was real. This dude was offended by a joke, went on stage and assaulted the person who delivered a joke, defending his wife's honor, which he hasn't really done in the past in regards to like real serious issues. Hey, to each his own, to each, however your relationship is, hey, that's your business. But to go on stage like that, I mean, this is where we're at in America. We are allowed to be offended, so offended that we can then assault, we can throw a tantrum on stage in front of while the world is watching. And in Will Smith's case, assault a fellow comedian, actor, famous person, and then basically lose it. I don't think he's in a we talk about mental health and all this stuff, right? That doesn't seem like a very sane move there. Now, a lot of people are defending his wife. I mean, is this a precedent we're setting? So now at a comedy club, someone says something about someone in the audience, a joke that's funny. People can go on stage now and assault someone, or is that only okay for celebrities? There's so many elements to this that I think need to be examined, because the joke was not that bad. My goodness. And I have told you guys before, some of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life were jokes that were directed at my views, my opinions, my beliefs, or jokes in favor of things that I absolutely disagree with. That's the beauty of comedy. It's supposed to be raw. It's supposed to be, it's unique. I don't know. It's an art form. It's supposed to be fun. And Will Smith, for someone that played Muhammad Ali, to go up there and, excuse the term, bitch slap somebody. I think that's the term the kids use these days. Whatever. What was that? And if you watch, he was laughing first, and then he saw his wife's face, like not laughing. And that's when he went up there. So there may not be a ton. I will say this. There's going to be a few different topics today. Random thoughts. It's not going to be all sports. I know I talk a lot of football at times, but I will talk a little bit about March Madness and some other sports topics. But yeah, there's going to be some non-sports things here. Very randomness today for the Tuesday episode. You guys can see I'm wearing my Orange County State very baggy sweater here. It's very fitting for the cold, rainy weather we had today on Monday, and just wanted to let me get my comfortable clothes and just relax. So, of course, my Titans did lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Went down to Duke, who is now a Final Four team. So, hey, in some ways, maybe a victory, maybe for the Titans, saying, hey, yeah, they eventually lost to wait a minute. I can say we. I went to school there. I'm usually against we. Oh, we did this. Well, I got a degree from there. So we, Cal State Fullerton, lost to the Duke Blue Devils, who may, in fact, be the national champions, but we will see. So Will Smith, I mean, from what I've seen, shame on you, man. Like, I think a lot of people who have loved you over the years are like, what was that? What is wrong with you? Chris Rock has said a lot of things I don't like, or that I even find funny, but he did not deserve to go up there and slap you across the face. Like, what? I don't even know what to make of it. I saw it and I kept seeing it over and over again. I'm like, I'm going to talk about this. I don't know really what to say. But anyway, I think you're always safe just boycotting the Oscars, because if anything crazy like that happens, you're going to see it on social media or something. Anyway, a couple things that occurred to me over the weekend and the past week since I've been here, things I've seen, things I've experienced. First of all, Valerie and I had a great weekend. It went rather quick as always, but Saturday night saw the one and only Bill Barnes, saw him and his lady Donna. We all went out for a little bit, and that was a great time catching up with Bill. He is still the Bill Barnes who was on this podcast so many times. He's just he's living his life, and I'm very, very happy for him. Yeah, Donna, she puts up with him every day. So that's something, but had a great time with them. And then Sunday, Valerie and I, mostly here at the house, we just kind of enjoying. I was watching basketball and hockey, and she was doing stuff outdoors, and then we each cleaned. And anyway, there was a situation. What did she want? She wanted like a pen or something, a marker or something like that, that was upstairs. And I happened to be there. She says, hey, can you toss me whatever it was? So I grab it. And she put her hand up and it was the bottom of the stairs. So not hard. I threw it. I thought it was right at her hand there. And it went by her, maybe the light, the shadows, I don't know. It hit her square in the face. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. For a second, I was like, are you okay? Did it hit your eye or your forehead? And she was like, the forehead. And she just kind of chuckled. And I'm like, my initial thought was like, well, this would be great. Yeah, if we go to the doctor or something or wherever, and my first or police officer sees us or whatever. Hey, so I threw this pen at her and it hit her while she's, I don't know how I'm doing. It's like a sad domestic violence joke there. You guys know what I'm saying. If someone were to see us and I'm walking her to or get in the back of an Uber or something, and it's like, whoa, what happened? That's a scene straight out of How I Met Your Mother, by the way, which is kind of funny. So for a second, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to explain this, that I threw a pen at you or tossed a pen to you that you requested, and then it hit you and it looks like I did something. Anyway, I thought that was funny. She didn't think so much, but she loves me anyway. And then a couple of things that, as you grow older, you experience things that you never did before. You have different feelings. I'm 37 now. Valerie is teaching me a lot about cooking. We're trying to cook healthier foods, just a lot of veggies and fresh meats and things. And I'm always interested in how to do so. How to do it at a good pace, but stay clean, stay clean while doing it. Just kind of stay on top of things. The most efficient way, I guess, is the word I'm trying to say. And I've started cooking a lot of things in the oven, just because oven, you set the timer, you throw it in, and you don't have to watch it like a grill or, in a pan, or I don't know all the terms even. I'm still learning the terms. And so I had always heard this term broil. I'm like, what's a broil? What is broiling, by the way? So because truth be told, I was looking up, so we had some steaks. They were like tri-tippy. They were really good steaks. And I was like, well, I don't really do them in the pan. I was like, can you do them in the oven? It sounds a little lazy, I know, but I was looking things up, and it said broiling steaks is a great way to get them just right. And so I was like, what is broiling? And I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, there's an under compartment under your oven where the flame attacks from the top. So that way you're not just in an oven where the whole area and it's a lesser heat. And so I was like, okay. So I went down there and I was like, hey, and I was all proud of myself. Hey, I'm going to broil the steaks tonight. So we go down there or not go down there. I opened the thing, and at first I put it under too low and then I found, oh, we have an actual tray and everything down here. So I broiled the steaks. They were absolutely perfect. If I must say so myself, I am no, cooking meat expert, but I have improved quite a bit. And I flipped it at the right time. It was crispy on outside, so juicy inside. And I was like, wow, just discovered a new way to make phenomenal steaks. And don't even really have to watch them. You just, set the time and let the heat, let the flame do the work. So we had a great dinner Sunday night on the patio. Had some steaks. She cooked up some veggies, some mashed potatoes. We had Frank Sinatra going, and I was like, you know what? Life's pretty good sometimes. Life's pretty good. And then it all came crashing down on Monday when I went to work. I'll tell that story another day. But all I know is that wall came out of nowhere. So broiling. You like lived 37 years on this earth and not know what broiling is, and then was like, oh, that was cool. That was fun. And I even told her later on, I was like, so this is like what adulting is like. And I'm, again, getting a late start with most things. But I was like, I never knew what broiling was. I never had a need to know. Just throw in the oven or do this, do that. And so I'm learning, guys. I'm going to learn more things as time goes here. And it worked out well. And then unfortunately, there was a casualty in our cooking Sunday. There was we have this awesome butter dish I should say. It was, and these are the things, again, that excite you as an adult now. I'm like, I'm domesticated and everything. This is crazy. Just me and another young lady under the same roof. And I'm getting excited about broiling tactics and nice butter dishes. I still got college basketball. I still got the game viewing. That you can pry from my cold, dead hand. That won't change. So this butter dish, it was cool. It was thick. It was big, and it had a nice, like, it wrote out butter on the top of it. Not that we would know what it was, but it was just, and it was appealing to the eye. I'm like, yeah. And unfortunately, we left the door open. It fell, it broke, it shattered into a million pieces, and our butter dish was no more. And I was sad. I was telling her, I was like, I feel like I remember the day you brought it home and it was so wonderful, and now it's gone. I know when you guys tuned in today, you didn't think you'd hear Oscar talk, broiling, not just the doing it, but just finding out the concept, like what is a broil? And then, what did I just say? Butter dishes. But here we are. And when the NFL goes away, we come up with random things to talk about. You know what I mean? So there's that. Let me see a few other things that happened to me while I was on my Uber driving journeys, which I know you guys kind of like these stories sometimes. Is picked up this nice old man. We're almost to his place, and he says, "Hey, when we get there, can you wait just a couple minutes? I got to go in and get something." I'm like, okay, cool. He's probably gonna, I don't know, maybe tip me, whatever. That's what I expected. And so he says, "Wait here," and he goes in and he comes out, and I can see, I was like, maybe he's gonna like give me something. So he has something in his hand. I can't quite tell. I'm like, well, this is different. So he walks over to me and he goes, "Hey, do you mind if I give you $10 in quarters?" And I think his name was John. I said, "John, yes, thank you so much." I go, "That is absolutely perfect. We need quarters at our house for the laundry that we have to do. So thank you so much." I can't think. I was like, it was better than a $50 cash tip. It was better than, I don't know. It was something that I had never thought about getting or receiving, but it was something that was so useful. Again, back to grown-up talk and growing old and all these things. I love stuff like that. It wasn't expected, but man, guy gave me $10 in quarters. That's a few loads of laundry. We got a little coin quarter jar over there that we use. And I came home. I told Val, I was like so happy. I was like I made my day, not just to be super nice to pay me a $10 tip, which is a high tip, but to give it to me in quarters. I was like, this is going to go to something useful, something we need. Maybe I'm overreacting, but it made me happy. And in the crazy world we live in, with gas prices the way they are, the inflation the way it is, me making mistakes on the road, sometimes you need to evaluate and look for the silver lining. Look for the quarter lining. Look, you got to find happiness somewhere. You ever been around these people who are just sad all the time? Sad. And I've been there. I was there this afternoon and I said, nope, get your face in front of the microphone, throw on a baggy sweatshirt and randomly talk about things. Get it off your chest. No one cares if you're sad. And if someone is sad out there, I'm not trying to diminish your feelings, although usually I am, because feelings, how I feel, I told you weeks ago, the term how I feel has gotten us in all kinds of trouble. But I was happy. It's a simple thing. Sometimes $10 in quarters at a random time is exactly what you need. You gotta embrace the good things. We get so caught up in all the negativity, and I am the biggest realist there is. Pessimist, optimist. I'm a realist with everything. I don't get too high or too low. Well, I do get too low, but I try to be realistic about everything. And I'm not saying walk around with a fake smile and be grateful for, I don't know, every little thing, but you in some ways you should. Be thankful to be breathing. Every day above ground is a good day, right? And today, they're not all great, but I also know that I had a bad morning today, but there's still a lot of day left. I might be St. Peter's down by 20 points at halftime, but there's a lot of finish the game, right? And my day may not be perfect today, but I control what I can control, and then we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the day. Sometimes you can't carve out a perfect, you can't recover a day, right? But you can make the most out of it. And who knows, more bad things might happen. But it was raining earlier. The sun has magically come out. So maybe that's a sign. I don't know. Anyway, more randomness. $10 in tip and quarters. It was awesome. It was just phenomenal. I made my day, and those quarters went to use on Sunday with some laundry. Well, this is something. So I do a lot of GPS now, at whether it's FedEx on our little devices they give us, or sometimes on my phone when I'm driving for Uber, and you hear the automated voice. I know someone has probably thought of this. I would just love if you could control the voice to be somebody famous or soothing. Like, how maybe you can change, or like books on tape, right? Or audio books. What are they called? I don't know, the Kindle, whatever it is. You can hear it read by so-and-so. I would love it if my GPS could be read to me, like someone like Vin Scully. That would be awesome to have a PA guy like that. Bob Miller of the LA Kings, or the late great Chick Hearn, of course. Can you imagine? Upcoming here, turn left. I don't know. I'm a terrible Vin Scully impressionist, but wouldn't that be awesome? Or the Bob Uecker, he would have some real good fun with it. Would it take that long to record these voices, record these directions? It's turns, it's continue straight, it's make a legal U-turn. It's all these phrases that I think would billion-dollar idea. Maybe someone had to have thought about this already. I got thinking about it, because what do they do where you can like purchase a celebrity wishing your friend a happy birthday or something in a video, and if you tell them what to write, or if you write for them to say, they will read it to you, like, hey, how you doing? Sam Hersema. Hey, big fan of yours. It could be somebody famous. Like if I were to get my brother loves Eminem, the rapper, I'd get Eminem to say something to Sam on his birthday. I can't remember what that's called. I know Adam Carolla does it. A lot of celebrities do it, and they make a lot of money because they charge a couple $100 or something. But my decree, king for a day, would be GPS voices from famous sports announcers, or any other announcer. Any other voice that you find soothing. What was the painting guy? The guy with the beard who painted? His voice was so soothing. I remember watching those painting stories as a kid. What was his name? The bearded guy. And he was just like, oh, we're just going to add a little tree here. And his voice was like magic. So it doesn't have to be sports announcers, but we're all doing GPS now in our cars. I want a setting where I could set it to famous people. It could be artists. It could be, I would prefer announcers. Jim Nantz would be great. He's fantastic. The late great John Madden. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a lunatic and these are the things I think about. I'm throwing them out there to you guys. I told you today would be very, very different. A couple of ridiculous things I saw. I drove by this one place. Everyone's got outdoor seating, right? The past couple of years were rough. This place legitimately had those bubbles. You guys ever play, get in those bubbles and like for a bachelor party or something we've done a few times where you run and you hit each other. These bubbles, they look like that, but they were bigger. They were big enough, like bubble pods for people to be able to sit outside, mind you, and have lunch together at this cafe. And I'm thinking, it was in like Roland Heights or something. And I'm thinking to myself, what is this? And even if you thought that was a good idea at one time, get rid of those. We're all moving on. It's up with the bubble pod, the bubble pod, safe eating. It's about safety. I was like, man, it would be cool to walk up on one of those and just push it and help see if it rolls, spill all the food everywhere. Can you imagine going, hey, babe, we're going to go romantic outdoor dinner and just here, step in this plastic pod. Okay. We're going to shut the door. Okay. Now it's just you and me. We won't get each other sick. We're going to have a nice meal. And you guys, what's a waiter guy like knock on the pod or like hold up a sign for you to read? Here's our specials and our drink menu. I don't know. I just found that ridiculous. And they didn't look like they had been used much, which is a good thing. But there are people on this planet who think that's an amazing idea. I won't get sick when I eat outdoors around people. It just made me laugh. And it made me think back to, man, things can always be worse. And then this is my new favorite sign. This is my favorite sign. You know, you see it, you see these everywhere. Hey, must wear a mask if you're not vaccinated, or masks are required, all those kinds of things. My favorite sign that I saw, and I just stopped and I chuckled. I had to write this down. I go, the sign said, masks strongly encouraged. I went, wow, that's real diplomatic. Strongly encouraged. I got a few things that I would love to be strongly encouraged. Or speed limits, maybe. Stuff on the road for sure. Strongly encouraged. Why did you even have to say that? Why don't you just say masks are required, or don't say anything? Just it was such a politically correct statement. Masks strongly required, strongly, what did I say? Strongly, I just erased it. Strongly suggested. What did I say? Oh, here we go. Let me see. Go back. I messed it up. But anyway, I just found that so funny. Why even have everything? If you're really that adamant about it, then say whatever your business is, say, hey, we prefer people to wear masks. Then people, can choose to attend your place of business or not. But masks are strongly encouraged, not required, strongly encouraged. I'm like, what else is strongly encouraged? Are speed limits strongly encouraged? I was driving 10 over the speed limit, officer. Is this a requirement, or is this strongly encouraged? Oh, hilarious. Okay, there is something I wanted to talk to you guys about. I was sitting there again. I do a lot of thinking, usually to come up with ideas for the podcast here, because again, when it's just me, what do you guys want to hear? You want to hear me give hockey scores? Probably not. But I thought about this and I texted a few friends, because we're always talking about diversity, right? And diversity of thought, especially, and just, not getting too tied down into just one direction or one customs or one group of people. It's all about diversity, right? Equality, equity, all those diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity is one of the biggest things out there. DIE, diversity, equity, inclusion, although DEI, however you want to spell it. But I thought to myself, because I listen to a ton of podcasts. I've told you guys this a lot, right? I listen to sports stuff, a lot of politics, a lot of just news stuff. And I started to think, because you never want to be, some people always want to paint you in a corner, just be like, well, yeah, you like, okay, I'm a Rams fan, right? You're a Rams fan. Well, yeah, but I like watching all the games too. Like I like certain teams, I dislike certain teams, but I'm ultimately a Rams fan. And so it's similar in some of our political opinions and just opinions of what goes on in the world. I mean, how do we formulate? I love hearing from people that maybe I never thought of it, their perspective, or maybe, you just learn that way. You're going to always listen to people who are the exact same as you. I don't think you're going to necessarily, you're not going to have a very diverse opinions or thoughts or whatever. You're going to be more closed-minded. Right. And I do listen to mostly, conservative podcasts, talk radio. I'm not going to make any mistake about that or make any excuses or whatever about that. That's what I like. And, but it's funny listening to different conservative opinions where people may disagree on an issue. And it's like, you hear reasons why, and there's not like real hatred and stuff coming at each other. So I like that. But my long-winded point to this is that I broke down really rather quickly my viewing or my listening habits in podcasts. And I said, man, I would say I have a pretty diverse cast of characters of podcasts that I listen to. And just so you guys kind of know what I'm talking about, listen to this. I wrote this down. I said, almost every day I listen to an atheist, a doctor, a gay man, an Italian man, a Jewish man, a Black religious man, 2 Black comedians, a Black woman, a Hispanic woman, a moderate-ish as far as, moderate center right, left center, whatever on some issues. So I had a moderate woman and a woman psychologist. Now there's other guys in there. I listen to, Clay and Buck. They're 2 white guys. And so I'm not saying this is only who I listen to, but I listen to a quite a wide range of people on a daily basis, or at least weekly basis. And if you guys are curious who these people are, I've mentioned their names before, but an atheist, I listen to Adam Carolla. I love his show, love his pod, love his views on most things. And a doctor, he has Dr. Drew on, who some of you are like, yeah, it's not a real doctor, even though, yeah, he is a real doctor. So the Adam and Dr. Drew show, that is 3 days a week, 30 minutes. That's pretty good. Learn a lot about, medicine and doctor duties or whatever, and disagree, agree, whatever, make my own conclusions. A gay man, I listen to David Rubin. I listen to him almost every day. He has a great podcast. And what I like about Dave is that, Dave used to be, well, he still probably is in a lot of ways. He was your classic liberal. He says it all the time. He's a liberal who's kind of changed his opinions on a lot of different things just because things have gotten so crazy to the left, on the left side of things. And now his liberal people don't like him because you're one of those crazy right-wing guys now. And it's just like, no, actually, he's just kind of a common sense guy. So I like listening to him daily to get his perspective. And, I don't really care about what his sexuality is or anything like that. Like, I don't, that's his business, and not, we all have different outlooks on things. And my point of it all is like, you can be completely different from somebody and still gain knowledge from them, still gain something from it. Sometimes we get too caught up in people that are just like us, and there's no different opinions. Anyway, so Dave Rubin, listen to him daily. He just moved from LA to Miami, and I really like most of the things Dave has to say. An Italian man, Dan Bongino. He's kind of I think he's mostly Italian. I'm trying to think what else he is, but he's got great, strong opinions. Love listening to him. A Jewish man, Dennis Prager, who is someone that loves people for who they are. He's always encouraging you to be more religious, whatever your religion is. He's encouraging people to get married. He's big on the 10 Commandments. If you just kind of look at life through that lens of the 10 Commandments, you can't go wrong there. So Dennis Prager is someone I just continue to listen to. I say a Black religious man to me, Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock, look at he's very open and upfront about his faith. He has a segment on his show every week where he brings in two pastors, Tennessee Harmony, and he really does tackle the big issues, especially in sports and entertainment. I love his approach. He holds no punches. He is somebody that wears his faith on his sleeve, and he's upfront about it. He's like, look at, I'm a sinner. I sin. I've done all kinds of things, and I'm trying to constantly improve my life that way. And so I learn a lot from Jason Whitlock. I really do. And I just love what he does. On the other side, two Black comedians, the Hodge Twins. Those dudes are hilarious. They are, they're Christians as well. But they do, they're not afraid to go the dark, little dark comedy, I should say. And overdo it a little bit. And they're like, Hey, we got the Christian audience, but they're really funny. I love listening to those guys. A Black woman, Candace Owens. Love Candace Owens. Listen to her a lot. She has her own talk show now. I get snippets of 9-minute audio clips and things of that nature on her podcast. But I tune into her. Hispanic woman, Sarah Gonzalez of The Blaze. She hosts a podcast every day called The News and Why It Matters, about 45 minutes. She usually has a couple of guests and they just do the news of the day. And she's fantastic. She's a real fireball. Just brings it. Well, that's all I can say. She brings it every day, and she's fun to listen to. I said I didn't know how else to describe her, but I really like Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly is more of a center. She's a little liberal on some things, and she's pretty conservative on other things. So that's why I find her. She has great conversations and discussions with her guests, and so I that's why I wrote her down, a moderate woman. And then the woman psychologist, I love listening to Dr. Laura Schlesinger, and her podcast is just like the call of the day. It's a 5-10 minute episode where she took someone who called into her show and she just talks from a psychologist standpoint. So those are some of the people I listen to. You could say, oh, Matt, you probably only listen to just a bunch of crazy right-wing white guys, or I don't know what people think these days. I love the diversity of thought. Now, a lot of those people probably have very similar political opinions and just opinions on everything going on in the world. So you could say that if you want, and you want to accuse me of something, but I have way more in common with someone who shares my values. As Dennis Prager always says, someone who shares my values. I don't care where you're from, who your parents were, what your racial background is. I don't care about all that. I enjoy sharing values with people from all different walks of life. And it is so fun that we can kind of come together in a lot of ways still, right? That's how it was supposed to be, the American dream, and be, I don't know, the United States of America. But I could care less the race, ethnicity of somebody, the gender of somebody. I like good people. And in my opinion, the people I mentioned there are great people, and they influence me in some way every day. So I thought I would share that with you guys in the age where we're trying to check off all these different boxes. Where is this the best person for the job? Maybe, but they're this race or that. I'm just like, dude, we don't got to stop that. We have to stop the equality. I believe in equality. Everyone gets an equal opportunity to do something. Everyone has to run a 100-yard race, and however you finish is how you finish. But somebody doesn't get to run an 80-yard race when everyone else is running a 100-yard race. I mean, that is the best analogy I can come up with at the moment. Okay, I mentioned the USA soccer thing. I saw everyone's posting USA. I'm like, a 0-0 tie? You got to be kidding me. I have no words. I'm so tired of the soccer stuff. It's something I'm never going to come around on. I know I'm not patriotic. Oh, soccer. There are so many other things I'd rather watch than soccer. I'm going to make a list, and I'm going to come up with that next week. I think I'm going to come up with things I'd rather watch than soccer and see how many things I can do. I think that could be good. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about sports. Let's talk some sports here. First and foremost, welcome back, Kyrie Irving. I know he's a lot of home games where he wasn't able to play for some ridiculous reasons, in my opinion. But he has won. He may have lost some money, but I think he's gained a lot of respect from people. And definitely, this podcaster, I support him doing what he had to do. So, yeah, some of the ridiculous mandates and things we've seen out there coming to an end. I think it's great. And let's move on. There's more important issues going on around the world and a lot of craziness going on that we need to fix here without worrying about, oh my goodness, someone might get sick or whatever. Life continues to move on. We can't always just drop everything and be like, nope, life cannot continue. Life does continue whether you like it or not. So I was in heaven last week. I told you guys previous week, right? I watched all the first round and the second round games, 16, 16, 8, 8, right? This weekend wasn't as great because there's less games, but on Thursday and Friday were the Sweet 16 matchups, 4 games each day, college basketball I'm talking here. And then Saturday, Sunday, only 2 games a day in the Elite 8. So you definitely are focused more on one game, but I've told you guys, I really like college hockey. I don't watch it much during the season, but during the playoffs, it's pretty intense. These 1 game playoffs are pretty exciting. So I thought it was awesome. There was Thursday and Friday, there was 4 college basketball games and then 4 hockey games as well. Same thing, 4 games because they do a 16 team tournament, single elimination where they go Thursday and then Saturday, or they're Friday and then Sunday. And that's how they get from 16 to the Frozen Four, which is in a couple of weeks. Some of you guys might not be interested, and I don't blame you. But I just like, again, back to the soccer thing. I'd much rather watch college hockey over soccer or some other things. But anyway, the Frozen Four is set. Man, I should know this. Michigan, Denver, who else? Minnesota, and I think Western Michigan was the other team. First off, Notre Dame and Michigan have the sweetest hockey helmets I've ever seen. And I've said that before in the podcast, but I wanted to say it again. The Golden Domers and then the Michigan Stripes, those are awesome. And I, my rule has always been in sports, you cheer for the teams that from where you're from, right? From, your region, your city, whatever. Well, there's no Southern California college hockey teams. And I'm like, well, what's the most West Coast college hockey team there is? And it's actually Denver. The University of Denver, who has had quite success in college hockey, has won multiple national championships. Now, there are some other schools out here too, Colorado College, Air Force Academy, and then believe it or not, Arizona State actually plays college hockey as an independent. And I think they've gotten into postseason here and there, but Denver is probably the most successful West Coast team in college hockey. So I will be rooting for them. I have some family in Denver, so there's a minor connection there. But I was like, well, who else do you root for because it's just college hockey thing is so regionalized, right? Anyway, I saw one of those officials in one of those games took a stick up into the eye. He went down, wasn't able to finish the game. So I hope he's doing well, but that was really, really tough. So Denver hockey, closest to the West Coast. I'll be pulling for them here in a couple of weeks. And it got me thinking about which universities should have college hockey. I think USC for sure. But BYU, I think BYU would be a great fit. Utah, I don't know if Virginia Tech has it or not. But the University of Colorado, you got all these other schools in Colorado playing hockey. I don't understand why the Buffaloes or even the Colorado State Rams don't have teams in ice hockey. I think they would be great fits too. So I would like to see college hockey expand. I think there's only like 59 teams or something like that, but they do a 16 team playoff, much like college football should do. It's single elimination. It's pretty great. And it finishes with the Frozen Four, which is, they take 2 weeks. So the week after the men's March Madness Final Four this upcoming weekend, they will play it on a Thursday and then a national championship on Saturday, if anybody cares. But we also have the March Madness down to its final 4 teams. And after all these upsets, after all this great run by St. Peter's, right? I was cheering on my Titans, all these little guys in the great tournament that is March Madness, we're down to 4 teams, and they're 4 of the biggest brands in college basketball, right? No surprise there, really. I think the big matchup, the big one everyone is really excited about is Duke and North Carolina meeting for the first time in the Final Four in their long history. I believe the games are in, is it New Orleans this year? I mean, those 2 schools are a couple of miles apart and such a great history. The best rivalry, I'd say, in college basketball, hands down. And they're going to get to play for a trip to the national title game. On the other side of the bracket, you got Kansas and Villanova, who, look, at Kansas has a much stronger history than Villanova. But as far as recent relevance, Villanova, multiple national titles, and has just been a very steady team. I think you got to give a great tribute all that success to their coach, and Jay Wright. He never seems to change much. I don't know much about him or his program, but Villanova out of Philadelphia really has been steady, and they do seem like an underdog, even though they're a very well-established basketball program. I think they always have that kind of edge, much like Gonzaga had for a long time, even though they're one of the top, programs in America, and Villanova is too. So Kansas and Villanova on Saturday, followed up by Duke and North Carolina. And just what a way for Coach Mike Krzyzewski to go out. He either loses to his rivals in the Final Four, or he advances to play one more game in a national championship game Monday night. I'm terrible at picking things, but I'm going to go from what I've seen. I'm just going with Duke for the story. I think Krzyzewski, what a way to go out if he's able to win a national championship. And I do like Kansas. I like Kansas over Villanova. I've seen some incredible players this tournament. The North Carolina Baycott, what a big man he is. And then what is their shooter? Number 2, that dude just does not miss. Every time he chucks up a 3, buries it, right? And a good mix of teams here in the Final Four. One of the best weekends in sports, a great Saturday, I should say. And college basketball, again, you might watch a little here and there during the season, but it's so fun. It's this time of year, this 2-3 week stretch. It's just amazing. I would put it up against any other playoffs. I really would. And I love the football playoffs. But March Madness is just the intensity, the right here, right now, everything about it is just something that I just continue to just love. And good luck to everyone this weekend. It should be fun. Get home after my morning shift, watch both games Saturday, do whatever on Sunday, and then hustle home Monday night for the national championship game. I don't know why national title games are always on Monday nights, but it is what it is. Okay. In closing, I'm going to end with something that I kind of voiced my opinion on this weekend. And I'm sure people are going to not be happy with me, but I don't do this podcast for people to like me, right? If you're listening to the podcast, you may like me, you may hate me, you may just want to be like, what's he got to say today? I got in trouble. I didn't get in trouble. I just kind of started a little trouble. I started a little trouble, we'll say, because the conversation came up, and I talked to you guys about this commercial last week about the women's March Madness, and no one, it doesn't get nearly the media coverage that the men do. And okay, first and foremost, I got to give my disclaimer. I think women's sports are amazing. I think it's excellent that they have an ability to participate in sports, much like men do. A lot of young women have gotten, college paid for with athletic scholarships. I think women playing against women is a wonderful thing in athletics. And yes, I'm talking even sports no one really cares about, girls tennis or badminton or golf, whatever sport it is. I am a supporter. I support women's athletics. I think it's Title IX wasn't all great with some of their policies and equalizing women's sports to men's sports. But I think it's absolutely great that there are college and high school sports for women. And there's even some professional leagues. I want my Rio Hondo Prep alum. I want my Cal State Fullerton. I want the women's teams to do well in sports as well. I want women's sports to do well. Now, Do I sit and watch them? No, I don't. Did I officiate high school girls sports? Yes, I did. Did I work as a replay official in college basketball for the big? Yes, I did. And I did the men's games and women's games. And when you're doing that, it's all the same because you get paid the same. So what? Anyway, the reason I bring all this up is because there's been this push from the NCAA, ESPN. They're just shoving this down your throat. You need to watch more women's sports. You need to watch, it's not so much you need to watch it. It's like women don't get the credit. They don't get not the credit, the coverage. They don't get the coverage that the men do. Well, it's like, maybe the men's games are more interesting. Like maybe there's more excitement there. Maybe, if somebody isn't watching a television show, maybe the television show isn't that good. And then if people are watching a television show, it's probably because it's really good. So again, equal opportunity is huge. Now, do men's sports bring in a lot more money than women's sports? Why, yes, they do. And maybe a few places like Connecticut women's basket. I bet you the football team at even a place like UConn still brings in is a bigger money maker for the university than their legendary women's basketball program. Tennessee, UConn, these are the blue bloods of women's basketball with countless national titles, right? And there's other great programs. But my point of all this, I'm trying to say this like the right way. I'm like, I don't want to offend anyone, but in some ways I'm like, yeah, I do want to offend somebody. We live in this world now. It's like, you don't care about women's sports if you don't watch. It's like, oh, no, I care, but put out a good product. Put out a good product. And what was to me is fake news, if you don't like that term or whatever. I found it hilarious, and I sent this to a few people. There was college basketball going on at the same time, men's and women's games. And every time you turn on the TV, first thing they show you is the women's games. Right here, watch this. It's like they're trying so hard to push it at you. My brother told me, dude, Google March Madness and say nothing else. Just Google, just March Madness. First thing that pops up is the women's scores. And it's like, you guys are you're trying to build this, I don't know. You're trying to publicize something that is not what people want. You're trying to establish a presence of equality. I don't know what you're trying to do, but it's a clear message. It's a clear effort, I should say, by the NCAA and ESPN and even CBS and TBS and them to some extent. And so I pulled up the ESPN app and I looked at whatever game it was. I think it was Houston and who was I watching? Houston and one of the teams who made the Final Four. Villanova. Yeah, Houston Villanova. I pulled that game up. And I just scrolled down to game information and I popped and it said where the game was played, the current score, betting odds, and then at the bottom it said capacity, attendance. I was like, okay, interesting. So then I go, just for fun, I go to the women's bracket. I go to the game that's going on, Michigan and South Dakota. I flip that thing on. Box score, same app, mind you, same everything. And I scroll down and there's no capacity listed. There's no attendance listed. And that might not be a big deal. What are you doing, man? What are you talking about this for? They're hiding. You want to talk how popular the sport is, right? How it needs to be watched more. Yet they go out of their way to not list the attendance of the game. Now I had some pushback and some other friends were like, well, hey, they just listed the capacity and he showed me another box score where it was the actual, I said, okay, fine. But then I looked again, side-by-side comparison, the exam, ESPN again, went out of their way to not list the capacity or the attendance of the women's games because the attendance at those games is probably embarrassing. And maybe a few thousand, again, at a few of these places, 18,000 at these men's games. I'm saying something that is brutally obvious to everyone. More people like watching men's basketball than women's basketball. It doesn't make me some bigot, misogynist, or anything like that. I've watched a lot of women's basketball over the years, a lot, and mostly because I was getting paid to do so. but I got paid to watch men's games too. And I've paid money to go to two men's games. Would I pay money to go to a women's game? Unless I had a relative on the team or something, probably not. Do I want the Real Hondo Prep young ladies to advance to a championship? And yes, I'll cheer that. I will pay money for. I would pay money to go watch my alma mater play for sure. The playoffs. Their softball program is having a great year, by the way. We may have to get some get home safe coverage out there if they make a playoff run. Guys, I know this might surprise you, but I did at one time have a mother, and I was very proud of her for her advancing in her career. Now that I've grown older and look back at her success, she was the first woman to do a lot of things at her work with B of A. To become a vice president in a certain field that she was in. So I in no way am demeaning, pushing down women, saying they are less than, well, you got to choose your words carefully here. Men and women are not equal. We can't agree on that. They are not equal. Women are very good at a lot of things that men are not. And men have their strengths as well. What a concept. I know that's very controversial to say, but I just found it hilarious that ESPN goes out of their way to promote this, to promote that, yet they also intentionally, and look it up, do it yourself tonight for the next few games. The women's Final Four will be up, and they'll probably get a good crowd at that. For the women's Final Four usually does pretty well. It's not quite, whatever the men, what do they get the men's Final Four? They always put it in a football stadium. They get like 60, 70,000, I think. So this isn't to diminish anyone's efforts or whatever, but it's just like when it's constantly thrown at you on these commercials and everything, you get a little testy is all. So I like facts. I like data. I like opinions too, but sometimes it's like, can we look at this? Can we look at the ratings of who's watching what and have an honest conversation and debate instead of just talking about feelings all the time? Okay, enough. I'm done. I tried to not do too much sports today, but I had some sports opinions, and I'm looking forward to this weekend with the Final Four. Can't wait. Had a rough day at work on Monday. There's more work days ahead, and we'll get through them. So thanks for tuning in to the podcast this Tuesday. A great guest lined up for you guys on Friday. I hope you guys were able to tune in and listen to Ken Lee last week, a little shorter episode, but really happy with that. We're going to have our third consecutive guests from Idaho this Friday. I'm just kidding. No, just happened to be two in a row, two Idahoans. Idahoan? What do you call them? Idaho? People from Idaho. Courtney Guyon or Courtney Fraser, excuse me, and Ken Lee past couple of Fridays. But this Friday, I have for you guys planned. Let's see, who did I write down here? We're going to have Joe Demers on the podcast, the husband to Ginger Lunny, now Ginger Demers. Joe is a big time baseball fan, and we're going to talk a lot about the Major League Baseball agreement coming to terms and spring training and the rule changes, things of that nature. So I hope you guys will tune in on Friday for that. Joe's also going to talk to us about what it's like as kind of being I don't like using this term, but just someone who didn't grow up not an outsider, but that's the only thing I can really think of. Someone who didn't grow up involved in Care Youth League or Real Hondo Prep and has kind of come and married into the organization, if you will, kind of getting his perspective on the perception really of Rio and Care. And I'm always talking to you guys about Rio and Care on here. I have a ton of listeners from there, but I think Joe, the conversation I had with him, he really had we had some chuckles together, but he painted a good picture really of the perception of Rio and Care from someone who didn't really grow up in the organization or playing ball when they were younger in the Care Youth League. So I thought it was a very valuable conversation. And I'm looking forward to you guys hearing it on Friday. Okay. I always try to do these in about 45 minutes, but sometimes you get going. I have two more great guests already lined up. I'm not going to tell you about them yet, but I'm always looking to record, quick conversations with people to have on our Friday podcast. So if you have any suggestions, throw them my way. Always open to new ideas And you can always shoot that stuff to me at gethomesafepodcast@yahoo.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You know where to find us, Get Home Safe Podcast or Get Home Safe Pod. And we hope to hear from you guys. Keep an eye out for our social media posts on things. YouTube, rate, review, subscribe. You can see the videos here if you want to watch my ugly mug on here. Chatting, just rambling by myself. Appreciate all the support. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a rating. That helps everything here on the Get Home Safe podcast. I've rambled enough. Please, I did not mean to. Well, actually, I'm not going to say that. Did I mean to offend anybody? No, but if I did, so what? No one's going to slap me across the face like Will Smith. And yeah, back to that whole thing. What a crazy world we live in. Guys, enjoy the rest of your week. I will be back on Friday with a great conversation with Mr. Joe Demers. But guys, until then, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or rounding third base, get home safe.